Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, where today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1967 Washington quarter. This coin may seem like just another quarter in your pocket, but hold on to your hats because the 1967 Washington quarter can actually be worth a small fortune. You'll want to stick around for this one because we're going to explore everything that makes this coin so special, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. Let's start by looking at the background of the 1967 Washington quarter. The Washington quarter, first minted in 1932, was designed to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. Over the decades, this coin has been a staple of American currency. But what makes the 1967 Washington quarter so unique and desirable to collectors? Well, there's a lot more to this coin than meets the eye. First, we need to talk about the state of the U.S. economy during the time the 1967 quarter was minted. This was a period marked by the aftermath of the turbulent 1960s, with a shifting political landscape and changing societal norms. 1967 specifically was a year of significant transition. The United States was involved in the Vietnam War, and there were protests and social movements happening across the country. In the world of coin collecting, it's these little historical details that add layers of meaning to a coin, but the 1967 Washington quarter stands out for other reasons as well. The minting of this quarter wasn't without its errors, and that's where the real magic happens. You see, errors on coins are one of the biggest drivers of their value in the numismatic world. The rarer the error, the more sought after the coin becomes. And when it comes to the 1967 Washington quarter, there are certain features that make this coin especially valuable and rare. But what kind of errors are we talking about? Let's break it down. Point one of the most significant errors on the 1967 Washington quarter is the double die error. This happens when the die used to stamp the coin onto its planchet, the metal disc, shifts or misaligns slightly. The result is a doubled appearance of some of the design elements, like the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" on the obverse side of the coin. This error can be subtle, but for collectors, it's like finding a hidden gem that adds considerable value to the coin. In fact, these double die coins are some of the most valuable in the numismatic world because they're so rare. If you happen to have one of these error coins, your 1967 Washington quarter could easily fetch top dollar, but there are even more errors to watch for. Another common but valuable error on the 1967 quarter is the off-center strike. This error happens when the coin is not properly aligned with the minting die, causing a portion of the coin's design to be cut off. Off-center coins are often more visually striking because they appear incomplete, but that's exactly what makes them so desirable to collectors. The further off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin. This is a condition that collectors love to get their hands on, as it adds uniqueness to their collection. Additionally, some 1967 quarters are known to have die cracks, which occur when cracks form on the die during the minting process. These cracks often leave a raised line or bump on the coin surface, and while they might seem like imperfections, they're actually a rarity that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for. These cracks are unique to each coin, and finding a quarter with a prominent die crack is a great find for anyone who loves coin collecting. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. As with any rare coin, the condition plays a huge role in its value. Coins that are well preserved, uncirculated, and free from significant wear and tear can command significantly higher prices in the market. So, if you've got a 1967 Washington quarter that has been carefully stored and kept in pristine condition, you could be holding something extremely valuable. A coin that has been handled gently and stored in a protective case will often be more valuable than one that has been used in circulation. So, here's the big question: how much is a 1967 Washington quarter worth? If your 1967 quarter is in excellent condition, and especially if it has one of those rare minting errors, you could be sitting on a gold mine. The value of these coins can vary widely depending on the condition and any errors they may have, but if you have one in top shape, or if it's one of those rare error varieties, the value can be staggering. Are you ready for this? A 1967 Washington quarter with the right errors and in the right condition can be worth a jaw-dropping $73,200. Yes, you heard that correctly, $73,200 for a single coin. That's how much a rare 1967 Washington quarter can fetch in today's market. Imagine finding one of these in your coin jar or a roll of coins at the bank. Just think about the possibilities. So, there you have it. The 1967 Washington quarter is not only a piece of American history but also a valuable asset for any coin collector. Whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, or a die crack, the rarity and uniqueness of this coin make it highly desirable in the world of numismatics. If you've got a 1967 Washington quarter sitting in your collection, make sure to take a closer look at it. Who knows, you might be holding a small fortune in your hands. And if you don't have one yet, keep an eye out for one, as it could be a treasure waiting to be discovered. Today we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing and valuable coins in the world of numismatics, the 1974 Washington quarter. At first glance, this might seem like just another regular quarter from the mid-1970s, but let me tell you, there's much more to this coin than meets the eye. If you love coins and appreciate the hidden treasures that can be found in everyday currency, this video is for you. The Washington quarter, first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday, has been a staple of U.S. currency ever since. But over the years, certain years and varieties of this coin have stood out from the rest. And when it comes to the 1974 Washington quarter, the value and rarity of this coin might surprise you. The first thing to understand about the 1974 Washington quarter is that it was minted during a period of American history that was marked by economic change and social upheaval. The mid-1970s saw the U.S. dealing with the fallout from the Vietnam War, rising inflation, and the start of an economic recession. This gives the 1974 Washington quarter a unique place in history, not just as a piece of currency, but as a symbol of a changing era in America. But what truly sets the 1974 Washington quarter apart from other coins of the same series are the errors and conditions that can make it highly sought after by collectors. It's not just any quarter, it's a coin with potential. So, let's dig into the details that make this coin rare and valuable. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1974 Washington quarter is its potential for minting errors. If you're a coin collector, you know that errors can dramatically increase a coin's value, and the 1974 Washington quarter is no exception. One of the most coveted error types is the double die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin becomes misaligned or damaged, resulting in a doubled image on parts of the coin's design. For the 1974 quarter, this could mean a doubled liberty or a doubled in God we trust on the obverse of the coin. These double die coins are highly sought after and can command a premium price on the market. If you happen to find a 1974 quarter with this error, you could have a rare treasure in your hands, but the double die isn't the only error that could make this coin valuable. Another type of error you'll want to look out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned with the die during the minting process. The result is a coin with part of the design missing or off-center. These off-center quarters are prized by collectors for their unusual look and the fact that they're so rare. The more off-center the coin is, the more valuable it becomes. So, if you've got a 1974 Washington quarter with an off-center strike, you might be sitting on a gem. Another key factor that plays into the value of the 1974 Washington quarter is its condition. Like with most coins, the better the condition, the higher the value. Coins that are in pristine, uncirculated condition, free from wear and damage, are worth far more than those that have been through heavy circulation. A quarter that looks like it was freshly minted and untouched can be worth thousands more than a well-worn version of the same coin. This is why collectors often seek out coins in mint condition, because a coin in the best possible state can command a much higher price in the marketplace. So, let's talk about the value of this incredible coin. If you happen to come across a 1974 Washington quarter that is in excellent condition or one that carries a rare minting error, the value could easily reach staggering numbers. We're talking about a coin that could be worth as much as $69,200 in today's market. Yes, you heard that right, $69,200 for a single 1974 Washington quarter. That's a lot of value packed into a small coin. Now, you might be wondering, how do you know if your 1974 quarter could be worth this much? Well, if you have a quarter from 1974, it's worth taking a closer look. Examine the design for any signs of doubling, misalignment, or unusual strikes. And, of course, the condition of the coin plays a massive role. If it's in excellent shape with no signs of wear, it could be a rare find. So, don't just toss that old quarter into a jar, take the time to inspect it. It could be worth more than you think. For collectors, the 1974 Washington quarter isn't just a piece of history, it's a treasure waiting to be discovered. Whether it's the potential for rare errors like the double die or off-center strikes, or the possibility of finding an uncirculated coin in perfect condition, there's a lot to love about this particular quarter. And as with all rare coins, the thrill of finding something valuable is part of the excitement. That if you're new to coin collecting, or you've been collecting for years, the 1974 Washington quarter is definitely one to keep an eye out for. The value could be more than you ever imagined, and who knows, you might just be lucky enough to stumble upon a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. So, remember, if you have a 1974 Washington quarter in your collection or come across one in your change, make sure to take a closer look. It could be worth $69,200, a price that's sure to make any collector's heart skip a beat. Today's video is one you absolutely cannot miss. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that might just surprise you, the 1965 Washington quarter. This seemingly ordinary coin has been catching the attention of collectors and experts alike due to its rarity and potential value. So, whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just starting to explore the world of numismatics, you'll want to stick around to find out what makes the 1965 Washington quarter so special. First, let's set the stage with a little bit of history. The 1965 Washington quarter is a part of the series that has been in circulation since 1932. These quarters were initially introduced to honor George Washington, the first President of the United States, and have been a staple of U.S. currency ever since. However, the year 1965 is particularly interesting because it marked a significant turning point in American coinage history. This was the year the U.S. Treasury made a major change to the composition of coins, including the quarter, as a response to a national coin shortage. In 1965, the U.S. government began producing quarters with a copper-nickel-clad composition, replacing the silver content that had been used for centuries. Now, while the composition change itself doesn't necessarily make the 1965 quarter rare, what does is the series of unique minting errors that occurred during this time. These errors, whether from a faulty die or a misaligned strike, can transform an otherwise common coin into something worth thousands of dollars. And the 1965 Washington quarter is no exception. Let's dive into what makes this coin so intriguing and valuable. The most coveted 1965 Washington quarters are those that were struck with rare minting errors. One of the most famous of these errors is known as the double die variety. This error occurs when the die that strikes the coin shifts or is improperly aligned, causing some of the design elements to appear twice. In the case of the 1965 quarter, this could result in a doubled image of the word liberty, or even the phrase, "In God We Trust." The double die variety is highly sought after by collectors because of its uniqueness and the fact that it is an error that cannot be replicated. Another important error to look out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing parts of the design to be missing or cut off. An off-center 1965 Washington quarter can create a dramatic and visually striking effect, making it a must-have for error coin collectors. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. So, if you happen to have a 1965 quarter with an off-center strike, it could be worth much more than its face value, but the errors don't stop there. Another rare feature that can increase the value of the 1965 quarter is a clip error. This occurs when a portion of the metal blank used to create the coin is missing, leaving a noticeable gap or clip on the edge of the coin. These clipped coins are extremely rare and are considered highly collectible due to their unique appearance and manufacturing flaw. In addition to these errors, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Like most coins, the better the condition, the higher the price. A 1965 Washington quarter that is in uncirculated, mint condition can be worth significantly more than one that has been worn down by time and circulation. Collectors are always on the lookout for well-preserved coins, and a high-grade 1965 quarter can fetch impressive amounts at auctions or through private sales. Now, you're probably wondering, just how much can a 1965 Washington quarter really be worth? Well, depending on the condition of the coin and whether it carries any of these rare minting errors, the value can skyrocket. If you happen to come across a 1965 Washington quarter in near-perfect condition, or one that has an error such as the double die or off-center strike, you could be looking at a value of up to $77,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $77,000 for a single 1965 Washington quarter. So, what does this mean for you as a collector? It means that the next time you find a 1965 quarter in your pocket change, you should take a closer look. The 1965 Washington quarter could potentially be worth far more than its face value, especially if it has one of these rare minting errors. If you discover one of these valuable coins, you might just have a treasure in your hands. Now, how can you tell if your 1965 Washington quarter is worth this much? First, check for any noticeable errors like a double die, off-center strike, or clip. Next, inspect the condition of the coin. If it's in pristine condition, then you could be looking at a real find. And remember, while these coins are rare, they are out there, so it's worth taking the time to inspect your collection or check your pocket change. For all the coin lovers and collectors out there, the 1965 Washington quarter is definitely one to keep an eye on. Whether you're searching for errors, looking for coins in excellent condition, or simply collecting pieces of history, the 1965 quarter offers both value and excitement. Its rarity, combined with the potential for minting errors, makes it one of the most desirable coins from the mid-20th century. Today, we're diving into one of the lesser-known but incredibly valuable coins from the U.S. Mint, the 1983 Washington quarter. You may be thinking, 1983, that's not too long ago. Surely, this coin can't be worth much. Well, you'd be surprised. The 1983 Washington quarter is a prime example of how a seemingly common coin can become a prized piece in the world of numismatics, thanks to its rarity, specific errors, and unique features. Let's start by talking a little bit about the history of the 1983 Washington quarter. This coin is part of the long-standing Washington quarter series that began in 1932, honoring none other than George Washington, the first President of the United States. The design we see on this coin has remained largely the same over the years, featuring a portrait of Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. But here's where things get interesting. The 1983 quarter stands out due to some unique circumstances that happened during its production. While most coins produced during this era were pretty standard, the year 1983 marked a period of transition in coin production. The U.S. Mint was dealing with a change in coin composition, having moved from a primarily silver-based alloy to a copper-nickel blend earlier in the 1960s. The 1983 quarters were struck in this same copper-nickel alloy, but some of them experienced minting errors that can make them exceptionally valuable today. So, what is it about the 1983 Washington quarter that makes it so special? Well, a key factor lies in the errors that occurred during production. Coin errors happen when something goes wrong in the minting process, creating a mistake on the coin. Some of these errors are minor, while others can make a coin drastically more valuable. One of the most notable errors found in the 1983 Washington quarter is the double die variety. Double die errors occur when the coin's design is struck more than once, leading to the appearance of doubled features, often visible in the lettering or even the date itself. In the case of the 1983 Washington quarter, collectors are particularly interested in examples where the lettering of Liberty or In God We Trust appears to be doubled. These double die coins are rare and sought after by collectors because of their distinctiveness and the fact that they represent a true minting flaw that adds to their rarity, but that's not all. Another error that can increase the value of a 1983 Washington quarter is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned in the coining press, causing part of the design to be cut off or shifted. An off-center strike on a quarter can lead to a very unique and visually striking coin. If the off-center error is severe enough, the coin becomes even rarer and more valuable. This type of error can be very subtle, so it's crucial to pay close attention when inspecting your quarters. An off-center 1983 quarter can be a treasure waiting to be found. There's also the possibility of a clipped planchet error. This happens when a small piece of the metal blank, or planchet, is missing before the coin is struck, leaving a noticeable gap on the edge of the coin. These clipped coins are incredibly rare and highly desirable among collectors. If you happen to come across a 1983 quarter with this error, it's definitely worth holding onto, as it could be worth significantly more than its face value. Of course, the overall condition of the coin plays a major role in its value. Coins that are in pristine, uncirculated condition are worth far more than those that have been heavily circulated. The best examples of 1983 Washington quarters are the ones that have been carefully preserved, free from scratches, dings, or signs of wear. A high-grade, error-free 1983 Washington quarter in perfect condition can easily fetch more than face value, especially when it's part of a rare minting error variety. Now, you're probably wondering, just how much can a 1983 Washington quarter be worth? Well, depending on the condition and the type of error it carries, these quarters can be worth a lot more than you might think. In fact, a 1983 Washington quarter that's in excellent condition or one with a rare error, like a double die, could easily sell for a staggering $69,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $69,000 for a single quarter. So, if you have a 1983 Washington quarter in your collection or have come across one in your pocket change, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. If you spot any of these rare minting errors, or if the coin is in exceptional condition, you might just have a piece that could fetch a small fortune at auction or through private collectors. But here's the catch: finding these rare errors is not easy. While the 1983 Washington quarter is relatively common, the error coins are the ones that truly stand out. You might need to carefully examine a few hundred quarters before finding one with a double die or off-center strike, but the effort could be well worth it. For all you collectors out there, the 1983 Washington quarter is definitely one to keep on your radar. Whether you're looking for a coin with a minting error or just a well-preserved example of a classic US coin, this one is certainly worth the search. Today's video is sure to grab your attention. We're diving into a coin from the 1990s, specifically, the 1990 Washington quarter. It might seem like a modern coin that's not worth much, but trust me, there's much more to this little piece of US history than meets the eye. Now, you might be asking, a 1990 Washington quarter? How valuable can that be? Well, it turns out that this quarter, produced by the US Mint, can be far more valuable than you might think, especially if you know what to look for. The Washington quarter, which has been in circulation since 1932, features the iconic image of George Washington on the obverse, and an eagle on the reverse. But what makes the 1990 version stand out among all the others from that era? Let's dig deeper. The 1990 Washington quarter is part of the regular circulating series, but that doesn't mean there aren't rare varieties within it. In fact, many collectors are always on the lookout for coins from this period that have unique characteristics or errors, things that might have slipped past the mint's inspection. You see, mistakes during the minting process can make a coin incredibly valuable. These mistakes, often referred to as minting errors, occur when something goes wrong during the striking of the coin point. One of the most common and desirable errors in coins like the 1990 Washington quarter is the double die error. Double die coins occur when a coin is struck multiple times, causing certain parts of the design, such as the letters, numbers, or the image itself, to appear doubled. In the case of the 1990 quarter, it's often the lettering, especially the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," that shows the telltale signs of a double die. If you happen to find a 1990 Washington quarter with this error, you've got yourself a rare piece that could be worth significantly more than its face value, but that's not the only error collectors are looking for. Another highly sought-after variation of the 1990 Washington quarter is the off-center strike. When a coin is not properly aligned in the coining press, the result can be an off-center design, where part of the coin is missing or misaligned. This makes the coin unique and visually interesting, and off-center coins are often highly coveted by collectors. If you find a 1990 Washington quarter with this error, you could be holding onto a coin worth much more than you might expect. In addition to these errors, There are also some 1990 Washington quarters that exhibit a condition known as die cracks or die breaks. These happen when the die used to strike the coin starts to wear down and crack. As a result, the crack shows up on the coin's design. While these are less common, die cracks can make a coin more valuable, especially if the crack is prominent and easy to see. Of course, the condition of the coin plays a big role in its value as well. A quarter that has been in circulation for many years will likely show signs of wear and tear. However, a 1990 Washington quarter that has been well preserved, kept in great condition, and even placed in a coin holder or collector's album, will fetch a much higher price on the market. Coins that are in mint state, or in excellent, uncirculated condition, are always in demand. The higher the grade of the coin, the more valuable it becomes. Now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. How much is this 1990 Washington quarter worth? While most 1990 quarters in typical condition may only be worth their face value, the rare ones, especially those with minting errors or in pristine condition, can be worth a small fortune. A 1990 Washington quarter with an error, or one in near-perfect condition, could be worth a staggering $71,600. Yes, you heard that right, $71,600 for a single quarter. So, if you happen to have a 1990 Washington quarter in your collection, or you find one in your pocket change, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. Inspect it carefully for any signs of doubling, misalignment, or cracks in the design. If you spot any of these rarities, you could be sitting on a goldmine. If you enjoyed learning about the 1990 Washington quarter and its potential value, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the exciting coin discoveries we have coming your way. Who knows? You might just stumble across a rare coin that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.